Welcome to SkyPodcast. Watch out for a new episode every Saturday. Ikaw ba, if Slater cheats on you, are you gonna leave him?
Ang daming breakup, maybe Slater is not the one for me.
You have to accept that it is really work to maintain a relationship. Welcome back! Top podcast of the year!
Woohoo! So essentially, naka-award tayo from Spotify na tayo yung top podcast in the Philippines for
the year 2023.
Yes.
What an amazing award. Love.
Pero grabe, they actually showed me the stats.
Yeah.
And we are the number one podcast to 350,000 people.
I know. And
It's
people have
crazy.
been tagging us like crazy. Like when they say, you are one of the top 1% Sky Podcast listeners. And then like so many people tagged us that they're in the top 1%. How crazy is that? What an honor.
So buong episode ganyan.
Yeah, I know. I'm so proud of it.
Yun yung crown mo.
I don't know
Bigyan mo na
why,
yung
but
corona.
Sky Podcast hits different.
Yes.
So when we get an award for Sky Podcast or when the Sky Podcast is acknowledged somewhere, parang proud na proud kami ni Slater kasi
Iba siya
it's,
compared to our YouTube channel.
I don't know, it's our baby diba? It's like the two of us and it's very raw and kind of personal.
Yeah, and even during accepting the award, ako lang kasi nag-accept. Tapos, tinanong nila ako what makes the podcast so special. And I said, versus any other social media channel that we have TikTok, we have Facebook, and everything else.
Yeah.
But iba yung lalim ng conversation, iba yung connection na nakukuha natin sa SkyFam and the people that are listening to us. And I feel like you're able to bare your soul a lot more.
Yeah, it's like people are eavesdropping constantly on a conversation that the two of us have.
Yes.
And because we speak to the podcast now once a week, parang for someone to be able to listen to us talk for 20-30 minutes once a week, parang they know na how we feel, how we think, para tayo nagka-coffee date. Di nga tayo nagka-coffee date with our friends once a week, but, you know, our Sky fam gets to hear us once a week, which is really amazing. Yeah. And we also saw our stats on the back end, which is like, there's a thing on Spotify.
Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah, it's called Spotify Wrapped. So they release that every December of the year. And it's a recap of the year. So we found out a lot of things. Like we were number one on the charts. It's not just about the numbers, but it's just amazing and humbling how we resonated with so many people.
Yes, and to think na ginawa lang natin to during the pandemic, I was very much against it nung una. Parang, ano ba yung podcast? Wala namang podcast dito sa Pilipinas.
But now, like, it's become more than just a hobby, a passion project. It's become something that's part of our lives, actually.
Yes.
Like, once a week, we really do sit down and catch up and talk to you guys. And it's been amazing so far. What stood out to you sa Wrapped natin?
I didn't know that ganyan karami ang tao na affected or like we're able to touch.
Yeah.
And you know what is more than just any other statistic? We recently had a kind of like a small meet and greet sa Ifang.
Ifang is a milk tea place or fruit tea place here in Cebu.
Yes, so we got to meet a lot of the Sky fam, and then a lot of people reference the podcast talaga for helping them go through
Their
a
struggles in
heartache, a
life,
struggle. Even though kahit wala kaming concrete solution sometimes, it's just good to know that someone out there has experienced the same.
Yeah.
And like part of life lang talaga siya and all these other things.
Yeah. And I think, to me, what stood out to me is, di ba yung sinabi mo kanina na 350,000 people consider us their number one podcast. But apart from that, the numbers even go up. Like 700,000 people nasa top 5 ba tayo? Or something, basta something crazy na parang we're charting in different countries, all of these things. That, you know, really makes me so amazed how the internet can bring people closer together. Like, we always give the internet so much flack, you know, for being both bad and good. But at least yung good dito is, wow, just listening to a podcast, diba, can touch somebody miles and miles and miles away.
Yes.
So, super amazing lang. And we're so grateful for Spotify and the podcast.
Yeah, so even 2023, ang dami ring mga nangyayari. Not just to us in general, pero parang ang dami mga huge bombs being dropped. Like, just a look back on the year that was, ang daming breakup na unexpected, crazy breakups na...
Yeah.
Wait, may tanong ako sa'yo, love.
Gusto ba ako mag-break up? Syempre hindi.
Was there a point wherein during our relationship na parang maybe Slater is not the one for me?
Honestly, wala akong maisip na time because it's been so long. It's been so long. But I feel like there's no moment that really stood out because what made you stand out from all of the other relationships or guys that I've dated is that we don't really fight, diba? Or when we fight, we do fight, but it's so rare and few in between. And like, it's parang it's not, there's no pressing issue. You know what I mean? It's not like there's something always at the back of my head that's bothering me that would make me think, okay, we need to break up. Diba? There's no pressing issue that, because if I have an issue, then I'll tell you and then you'll do something about it, and vice versa. You'll tell me and I'll change.
Pero in
wala.
our whole entire relationship, wala kang yung parang one like red flag or kahit orange flag man lang na parang, this is something that I need to look out for.
When we first started dating, I was 1 foot out the door. You know that. Because I didn't know it. I didn't think it was serious or anything. And I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. So I really thought this was like, my chance to date around and see. But then quickly I realized that, okay, this guy's serious pala. What was different for me was that you were very different from the other people that I've dated. In the sense that you're very chill and very... Hindi ka hopeless romantic, hindi ka sobrang sweet. Parang, you're just you. And then, I didn't try that before. You know what I mean? So, hindi naman
so
sa
it
one
could have
foot,
gone either way.
It could have gone either way. And I remember talking to my best friend and my sister about it. I'm like, why is this guy so chill? Does he like me? Or is he like, what is this? Parang, does he have somebody else on the side? Like, I don't know. But I was also 1 foot out the door, so it didn't really bother me. And because I was 1 foot out the door, parang I wasn't super invested in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like, oh, why isn't he texting me? Parang walang ganon. I guess that let a lot of pressure out of the relationship because I wasn't really... I had low expectations. I'm so sorry.
So, yun yung tip ni Chris, guys. Dapat low expectations na talaga.
It was just at a moment in my life where I was just like, you know what, Lord? Ikaw nang bahala sa akin. Oh, ikaw.
Ito.
Ikaw, sagutin mo muna.
Sa akin, wala naman anything major. Apart from... There were a few times na grabe naman to si Chris pumarty.
Talaga?
But hindi siya yung red flag. Parang, this is something I need to watch out for.
Seriously? At the start of a relationship?
At the start. Like, parang hindi naman siya too bad. Like, okay. But siguro mag-mature naman like after a while.
And look at me now.
Nagmama naman.
I don't even leave the house.
Yeah.
Nag-overcompensate.
Pero, I'm sure you've had a lot of relationship in the past. Ano ba yung masasabi mong...
Ano a lot? I'm sure.
A few relationships. I'm sure like tayo, we have our own like rules of what are deal breakers. What is a deal breaker for you? Like for example, kung may magawa ako and wala na talaga.
Siyempre,
no
cheating.
Forgiveness.
Siyempre, cheating. This is so interesting because I just had this conversation with your mom,
yes,
no less.
Yes, oh.
I don't know if I should...
I was gonna get there.
You think I can tell them what your mom said? I feel like it's private.
Hindi naman siguro.
Basta na-corner ako.
Hindi naman siguro
so basically,
private, yeah.
we were talking about somebody that we know that has been cheated on, and I think the guy is very public about it. And the wife did not leave him. So I was just telling your mom, like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, why wouldn't she leave him? She has her whole life ahead of her.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to be tied down to this relationship, especially since it's already out in the open and everybody knows. And she was just like, you know what, girl? You are...
Naganyan talaga siya, girl.
She was just like, yeah, I get it. You're so idealistic at this point in your life. You're newly married. You have children. That's very idealistic of you to think. But in reality, there's so much more to that. And like...
There's so many other factors
There's so many other factors na siguro at this point in my life, hindi ko pa maintindihan. Kasi hindi ko pa siya napagdaanan. Tama ba? Yun. So, she asked me, ikaw ba, if Slater cheats on you, are you gonna leave him? I'm like, trick question ba to? The mom is asking me. But I was just like, yeah, hello. Like, of course. Like, I'm not gonna do that to myself. I'm not gonna torture myself. I'm not a martyr for this relationship.
Ano sinabi niya?
I don't know if I actually told her that or if I just nodded and smiled because I was awkward. Like, I don't know.
So?
But I think she just explained to me like her 2 cents about it, which was very practical, right?
Kung bakit yung babae hindi siya nag-leave because parang at I think it was something to do with age. At a certain point in your life, para matanda ka na.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of companionship na lang. Like there's really no
Pero ang sad naman
romantic.
din ng ganyan.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to judge, and I really don't know what it's like at that age, right? This kind of seems sad. I hope you don't become like that, love.
Of course. Ang sad naman pag ganun. Ang sad naman, pero parang...
I mean, there are relationships na parang may usapan na, sige, doon ka kung saan ka masaya. And then I'll do my own thing. And then, basta we're still together.
Yes.
May ganun din naman.
Will you be able to
ako, hindi ako
work
ganun.
with that kind of a relationship?
Because I feel like,
I'm just checking.
no, you can reference this podcast. Anyway, I feel like to me, a marriage is just more than companionship. Like it's a whole partnership. And I feel like you are my partner for everything. Like I can rely on you for my emotional needs, all of my needs, right? So parang ang hirap na tatanggalin mo yun. Like, okay, you can only rely on me for talking before we go to sleep. Like, that's it. And everything else, I'm out the door.
Yung intimacy mo nasa ibang tao. Like,
Oo.
parang, ako rin like, parang I can't wrap my head around that also. Like,
Buti na lang. Narinig niyo yun, ha?
no, I mean, with my past relationships, parang there was always something that kind of like, parang hindi pa ako nagiging 100%, especially after the honeymoon phase has passed. Parang meron talaga akong like, it left me with wanting something more. And I feel like that's what is good about what we have is like, parang contented na ako. And I feel like that's the ideal of like looking for a person that you can be contented with and is content with just having you and wala nang ibang hinihingi pa.
Yeah.
Diba?
I feel like there's a lot of misconception about love na it's just that kilig or just that infatuation phase, right? Which is, I guess, what they call honeymoon phase in a relationship. And we certainly had that, but it quickly evolved into other phases of our relationship. And there are times when I'm like, bakit hindi na siya ganito? Diba? Like, bakit hindi na ako kinikilig when Slater calls me? Bakit parang...
ganun. Walk out. Yun, red flag ko na yun, bawal.
Bakit parang, love, I'm on my home, okay? Bakit ganun na yung... But it's not all bad. Like, I think if I'm too obsessed with that infatuation phase, then I will never be content with the relationship that we have, which is ever evolving, right?
Yeah.
I'm always gonna look for someone that makes me kilig or gives me butterflies in my stomach. And I'll never reach that point in the relationship that's more than that.
Nasa nasa libro yun ng 5 love languages.
Grabe yung book na yun.
Diba? Parang ang dami na
Paulit-ulit.
natin reference dito. But I feel like a lot of people know about the 5 love languages, but I don't know if they actually read the book because it is explained in the book. Na parang the first few years, iba yung chemical, then
The endorphins.
the endorphins and everything, the excitement and everything. And then after that, it's your choice now whether you want to keep on searching for that, which makes you be a little bit more, yung parang, hanap na naman ako ng iba, iba. Kasi, para hinahanap mo yung feeling na yun eh. And if you feel like that's what true love is, you're gonna spend the your whole life looking for that. But if alam mong love truly does evolve and tanggapin natin na nawawala yung sobrang intense na emotions and nag-change siya ng bagong emotion, something more secure, something more grounded, something more...
Like, I'm excited to come home and just be easy. It's an easy relationship. But you know what, love? I relate to what you said earlier na, like, when you said, like, how you knew it was me was because in your past relationships, like, after that honeymoon phase, you're always searching for something more. And I feel like that's something that I never really quite addressed in public or, like, I don't know if I even told you, but with my past relationship, it was the same. It was a long-term relationship. We were well over the honeymoon phase because it's been years. But then I never had that contentment phase. Like, I was always thinking to myself na, eto na ba? Parang kulang. Parang ganun yung feeling ko always. Never contented.
How long was that relationship?
It was 7 years. But I was a child also. Like, it was a college relationship. So parang, I don't know how people will be able to distinguish whether it's, like, okay, we're past the honeymoon stage. How will I know if I don't like this guy ba talaga? Or ito na ba yung contentment?
Naisip ko lang, mahirap din yung mga very, very long-term relationships, especially when you're starting from a very young age. Kasi...
Nasanay ka na.
I can only imagine if I had a relationship when I was very, very young. And then, ako as a person, nag-evolve ako eh. Nag-evolve tayo lahat. Like, and then your needs change and your wants change. And yung parang, ang dami mong mga questions na hindi nasasagot din. And
you don't really know yourself yet at that age.
Yes. So, my cousin married her long time, like, paano ba tawagin yan?
Since high school sila together.
Yeah, high school sweetheart. Tapos, parang sabi ko lang sa sarili ko na parang, that would be something that you'd be very, very lucky to end up with. Na yung first love mo, yun talaga yun. Kasi, parang that means na growing up and going through all these other phases from being a teenager to like motherhood and fatherhood.
Aligned kayo.
Yeah. Parang nag-align kayo all throughout that journey. But most people parang tend to drift apart.
Yeah, especially if you are in different industries, different jobs. I remember in my previous relationship, I super agree with you there na we were so different, miles apart. Like, sobrang iba ng personality namin, iba yung industry namin. It just so happens that we grew up together. So parang I was confused at that point na, should I break up with this guy? Like, di na kami nag-away. Parang wala namang problema. I'm just comfortable here.
Tapos nagiging safety net mo lang siya, ganyan.
Yeah, I don't know if it's safety net, but I also, at that point, I was like, 23? I think, 24. I didn't really know myself. Like, I was just in my early 20s. I didn't know if this is me. I'm still gonna evolve. Like, it's just so hard. So I can just imagine all the people listening now, they're going through that. Like, should I break up? Should I not? Is this what I want? Ang hirap, girl.
Eto, matanong ko lang. Since it's a very, very long-term relationship and you started out when you were young, as it went along, is it scarier to just say, okay, break up na tayo? Kasi this has been the person that...
Exactly, because you grew up with this person. He's always been there for you in your college days, right? And you're not fighting. And then suddenly, like, he's okay, but you're not. Suddenly, you think, what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy in this relationship? What did I do? What did he do? Like, you don't understand that it's just normal for you guys to drift apart. Diba?
Lalo nang pag wala siguro siyang ginawang masama or hindi siya nag-cheat. Diba parang so...
So you feel like you're a terrible person for breaking this person's heart and leaving when there's no reason to.
No.
But then you also think to yourself, but then, if I, at the back of my head, every time we're together, I'm always thinking, eto na ba? Hindi rin siya fair for this guy, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a very hard decision for me because I didn't know if I was really out of the relationship. Like, matagal ko na bang hindi siya mahal? Or did I have to find myself? That was a thing, right? In your 20s, like, I have to find myself. I didn't know what I was doing, honestly. And everyone that I asked said, are you crazy? Don't break up with that guy. Like, that guy did nothing wrong. And, he's a great guy. He is a great guy. He's a good person. But parang you just can't force things. You know what I mean? And I'm happy that I didn't. Hello. I'm happy. Pero sobrang iba talaga. Like, I feel like what you said earlier is true. Like, you grew up together, but you super drifted apart. Like, I remember his dad even said once na, are you sure about that girl? Because I feel like, I forgot his exact word, but his dad said, like, I feel like she's going too fast for you.
Especially because you were like, at that time, evolving as a person from a college girl to
like,
being an influencer.
Hardly being in Cebu, traveling all the time, meeting different people. And then he was like in an office situation. Hindi siya makaalis. So I remember vividly that I would travel, and as you mentioned earlier, I was a party girl. So I would travel everywhere around the world and party my ass off. And so when I got to Cebu, I didn't want to party anymore. Pagod na ako. Gusto ko magpahinga. Siya naman, oh, you're here. Tara, party na tayo. I'm like, ayoko na mag-party. So parang hindi talaga kami nagkasabay. Alam mo yun?
At one point, was it like an LDR? Wala naman.
Not really. Not really. I wouldn't consider it that. But I feel like we just really grew apart. And that's hard to call out. And it's scary to call out. Diba?
And
like, I had a feeling
takes so long to call out. It's like...
It took me years, 3 years, honestly. Because I remember at the year 4 mark, sinasabi ko na sa mga best friend ko na I'm not sure. And apparently, like, every time I get drunk, it just comes out of my mouth. Like, I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. And then when I'm sober again, I'm like, snap out of it. Ganon.
So, ganun pala.
Subconsciously.
Truth serum. Yung
Truth serum.
Sige. So, if hindi ka sure, try niya uminom. pero yes, I feel like what would be ang hirap though na what if all these doubts that you have is actually like ma-overcome naman. So paano mo malalaman na is it really something that's like rooted na
Yun na nga
problema?
ang hirap. But I remember I have this friend from college who told me after this breakup that was so like it was a big deal for everyone, right? Because I think as early as they've known me, I was with this guy already.
Oh, you related to that person.
Yeah, it's like this person is with this person. That's it.
That's
right?
it. Oh.
And then suddenly, like, the breakup was a big deal. And then he was just like, you know what? I don't know if you made the right choice or the wrong choice, but I believe that no matter what choice you make in life, you will be able to find happiness. So if you decided to stay, eventually, you'll find happiness in a different way in that relationship. But if you decide to leave, you'll find happiness pa rin.
Depende din siguro. Kasi if the relationship does not fulfill you or does not push you forward or does not make you grow.
Yeah, no talaga.
Yes, you can find some happiness there. Pero iba pa rin talaga.
It's a different...
Like,
well, now I feel like I made a great decision because I'm
buti
so
naman.
fulfilled. Like, in all aspects. Like, honestly, like, I don't know. I don't want to flatter you, but yun na yun.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yun na yung Christmas gift ko sa'yo. No, but I think, now when you were talking about like high school, love life, and everything, lahat ng mga friends natin, we know a lot of people in our immediate circle that has been in long-term relationships. And usually, they break up and then they find someone agad na mas fit for them.
That's me and you, my love.
And like, a lot of other people, like my cousin, my, like, I'm like, right away, mahanap nila, and then they usually end up with that person.
Who was I talking to? Who was I talking to? Oh my gosh. Okay, I remember. I was talking to Tina Young, who is she's a YouTuber. She's based in Singapore now. And I was just at an event with her in Singapore. And I was with her and a bunch of my single friends recently. And she was saying that she listened to this podcast who talks about relationships scientifically, like they break it down. And she said, if you divide your life, please don't quote me because I have terrible memory. But basically the gist is, if you divide your life, let's say you live until you're 80, 90, there's like a percentage there na by this age, you should find your soulmate na. Parang something like that.
Wow.
Or something like that.
Pressure.
So if you want to get married at this age, you have to find your soulmate at this age. And then sabi niya parang how you do it is when you date around. Oh my God, I'm so bad at storytelling. But anyway, something like when you're 27, whoever you're dating at the age of 26, 27 has to be better than the last person you dated. And if it's better than the last person that you dated, yun na yun.
Wow, ang hirap naman to be scientific about that.
Yeah, so no,
what
wait, listen to me.
defines better?
Like, for example, you had red flags with your previous relationship or you were not fulfilled in the same way as whatever. Like, for example, me, I was 23, 24 when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. And then you came along when I was 26, 27. I was dating you. And you were fulfilling me significantly more than that previous relationship. Yun na yun. Like, at 26, 27,
Huwag ka nang pumili.
Huwag ka nang maghanap ng iba if okay na yung kadate mo ngayon. And better na siya than your last relationship.
Pareho lang yun sa namin, Peaches story.
Yeah, pareho lang. Sige, go.
Sige,
Sabi mo.
ikaw na magkwento. Mas magaling ka magkwento eh.
Oh my God, did you just hear my story? It didn't make sense.
No.
It's your turn.
Ganito daw. This is coming from my best friend na parang ang relationship daw, parang kang naglalakad sa farm of peaches. And bigyan ka ng one pick of the best peach that you can find and then kailangan mo nang bumalik. Pero may limit siya kung hanggang gaano kalayo yung farm na yun. And then, hindi mo pwede kang mag-pick ng maliit na peach and then you move forward and then you move forward and look for the right peach. But once you found the right peach, you don't set it back down na kailangan mo nang bumalik and say, oh, ito na talaga.
And you can't find more peaches anymore.
Hindi ka na maghanap eh. Wala, yun na yun, kunin mo na yun. So it's kind of like that. You have to find something that you are okay with and stop looking. Like, yun na yun.
How about you, love? Ikaw naman. Tell me naman about your dating breakup history. In your last, when you were 26, 27, who were you dating? She come in, I'm just kidding. Sorry. When you were 26, because you met me 30s ka na. So, who were you were dating someone at that age. Bakit hindi mo siya napili?
Yun, I've always been in relationships but somehow parang hindi ako settled in a way. Like my relationships at that time, I started dating when I was like old na, like 21, relatively. College, ganyan.
That's not old.
1 year, 2 years na lang.
That's not old. I think that's normal. I don't know.
Okay.
Because I was early.
Pero hindi siya yung mga high school sweetheart. Walang ganyan. So, puro siya 1 year, 2 years, a few months, yung mga relationships ko, it never lasted for a long time. When in fact, question ko na yung sarili ko, baka ako yung problema.
Yeah, what I was gonna ask, like, do you think it's you? Since you're so young, you didn't know what you wanted?
I think the thing is, I didn't know what I wanted, but I always thought that, there's something missing. Parang ganyan.
Same
So,
tayo.
after nga yung mga infatuation phase, parang may makikita akong parang, hindi kami bagay sa itong side na to. Hindi kami,
Like yung red flags for you.
Yes, red flags, or even I've been in my longest relationship before you was 2 years siguro, but outside the 1 year mark, parang
Hirap
nagda-doubt na ako na sakto ba to? Hindi. And it felt like work. It felt like work to maintain the relationship. And I think na parang hindi pa siya, maybe hindi rin ako ready, I would say. So, yun.
And then with me, continue naman your story.
And then with you, parang wala napilitan na ako. Sige na lang, matanda na ako.
30.
Kailangan ko na ng partner.
30 plus na. Late na ako sa timeline.
Oo.
Dapat 27 pala. Shocks.
Oo. But yes, I think that we both are very lucky with what we have right now. Uy, may fun fact lang ako. Nothing related to this, but you know how sa atin, yung accounts natin, yung financial natin, we share, and usually you have most of the access to everything. And meron
Sugar mama.
Meron akong TikTok na napanood na sabi niya, couples who share their accounts last longer.
Siyempre, nobody wants to cheat kasi nasa isa lang yung access.
Hindi, lalo na ako kasi nasa iyo yung access. Hindi, pero
Let's keep it that way.
no, ang sinabi niya is because it's not about the monetary thing. It's not about who has access or not. It's about the mentality of saying,
The trust.
we're in this together. Na whatever I have is yours, whatever you have is mine. So, naisip ko lang, ang ganda din ng concept na ganyan.
Yeah. Honestly, that was something that I struggled with earlier in our relationship because I have always been, like, since college, like, fending for myself. So, it was kind of like taking away my safety net. You know what I mean? Na, gosh, if this guy cheats on me, wala na. The boat is gonna sink na talaga.
Ooh.
Alam mo yon? So, ang hirap din. And I understand, like, if you guys are having a problem with that, parang, it's really hard. But I'm happy and lucky with you, my love, na wala kang
Alam ko naman sa'yo madali lang kasi sa totoo naman talaga, hindi ko alam kung saan mo nilalagay yung mga accounts natin.
nandito pala, nandito.
Sasabihin ko lang, love, wala na akong pera sa pwedeng pala.
Pa-allowance.
Pa-Gcash.
Oh yeah, he always tells me, can you send me money on Gcash?
Wala na akong pera.
Pero you mentioned earlier na when you were in your previous relationship, it felt like work to you. I feel like sometime in your relationship, you have to accept that it is really work to maintain a relationship. Like, for example, me and my best friend, we've known each other since the first grade. But if I don't work on that relationship will disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, but work, I mean, like, even up till now, we work on our relationship. Like, we try and every so often to do something to, like, spice things up. But I think it's more of what I'm trying to say is the motivation behind it. Like, it's okay to work on something if you're motivated to work on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you mean because I also had this thing with the person I was dating prior na parang sabi niya, bakit parang sobrang dali lang dapat to do this? But to you, it's like, ang bigat-bigat. Because it was so hard to put in the work because I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But what I'm trying to get at is that with you and I, like, we do put in the work and there are little things that, like, for example, I saw this TikTok. Your reference is always books and my reference is always TikTok. But I saw this TikTok before na there's a difference with how you treat your spouse, right? Like, the small things that you do every day can make a difference in your relationship. So, like, for example, I'm at home and Slater comes home from work. It's either I'll just be on my phone at hindi ko siya papansinin and I'll just be like, oh, hey, what's up? Or, like, I'll drop my phone and I'll say, oh, hey, how are you? Give him a kiss. Like, small things lang like that. Or, like, when Slater sees that I've prepared something, instead of just, like, sitting down and eating and, like, wala siyang pakialam. Like, oh, lang,
So, every day ka dapat ganyan na ngayon,
No, I mean, it's just the little things, like, or at night, if we're just in our bed, we can just mind our own business. Mag-cellphone lang tayo, but, sometimes you remind ourselves, you constantly remind me,
Yeah,
like,
we call each other out.
Like, hey, watch a movie with me, or hey, come here, diba? Like, it's small things because we're together every single day.
Yeah.
These small things can build up and it can become a habit, it can become a routine. And so, like, if I get used to not being excited to see you, or if you get used to, like, just having things done for you, it can take a toll on the relationship.
Yeah. Pero don't get us wrong, guys. Sa amin naman talaga, I feel like sometimes people expect that our relationship is always smooth sailing. Right? Because sa vlogs, syempre, hindi natin pinapakita na nag-aaway tayo or in our posts. Like, parang, kami din ni Chris, nag-aaway din kami from time to time. Sometimes things get really heated. But I think the good thing about us is that when we have these discussions, it's a discussion not about who is right and wrong, sometimes, mostly, hopefully. But it's more about
Chris is right.
finding a middle ground and how to move forward with that relationship. Like,
It's
parang
always how to move forward.
wala na yung discussion about, kasi dati, pag nag-aaway ako with my past relationships, puro, break up na tayo. Parang that was always kind of like an option right there, like a red button that you can press na, ayoko na. Yung parang ganyan. Like, para sa atin, it never really crossed that.
Yeah.
Whether when we were married or before we were married, it was never a discussion of breaking up. It was always, how do we move forward and fix this?
Yeah. I think with my previous relationship naman, I think I was really immature at the time. But this is always a blame game. Like,
Ego siya na sino mas...
I reacted that way because of what you did. It's you.
Oo.
Like,
Actually,
I was always
ganyan ka
like
naman din ngayon. Parang iniintindi lang talaga kita.
that. Okay. Whatever. How do we move forward?
Yeah, I think, important lang to set na even our relationship, tinatrabaho pa rin namin. Especially,
Constantly, it's a work in progress.
yes, constantly, especially because, again, nag-i-evolve yung relationship, nag-i-evolve yung needs, especially from being married to having kids, like having 2 kids, iba na rin. And yung pagmamanage ng mga household and everything, paminsan, maraming tayong mga little things na pwede nating mapag-awayan because life gets more and more complicated.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's an expectation talaga dapat na nag-e-evolve tayo together as we move along and we discuss the important things.
I guess my takeaway from this podcast is that looking back at the year that was 2023, it's been crazy. Madaming gulatan na news. But I'm very happy that we have stayed strong together despite everything that's come our way this year and in the past years. And that my learning is that no matter what happens, we should constantly keep working on our relationship to make sure that we're always happy, my Ross. Yeah. Yeah. So cheers to love and a wonderful 2024. But it's okay. Magkikita pa tayo next week. It's not a year-end podcast.
Yeah.
See you guys next Saturday. Bye-bye!